Well, hello, my lovelies. It's Murky Meg here. Well, hello. This is the second video that I am doing detailing the garbage that is Byline Times, The Truth About Megxit. Now, as I described in my previous video, I've popped a link in the right-hand corner if you would like to go and watch that first. I suggest it because it details some very telling moments about why Harry was financially cut off and the fibbing that is now being twisted to suit their narrative. This video, I'm going to be dealing with the information that they drop about Dan Wootton. Now, apparently the Byline Times have been reporting on this or investigating this for 3 years. And if you haven't, or if you don't know about it, they did a huge expose about 2 to 3 months ago on Dan Wootton and his goings on in his private life that really didn't reach that much. Apparently, the police are looking into some allegations, but nothing as of yet has come. Now, the Byline Times say that they have spoken to several sources with connections to the royal household. Again, I'm getting sick of saying this. I wonder who they could be. About how the partner of Christian Jones, who was a former Kensington Palace press secretary, came to be paid £4,000 by Rupert Murdoch's The Sun in August 2019, allegedly for articles relating to the Sussexes. This wasn't Christian Jones himself. Apparently it was his partner. The partner's not named, but his profession is, and they say that he was a publicist. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't publicists generally deal with the public and information? Oops. Now, the partner of Christian Jones has admitted to receiving the payment of £4,000, but he claims that they were other stories related to a reality television star. Now, Jones denies being the source of any unauthorised information with regards to the Sussexes. But here's the crutch. Apparently, there was a letter that was written by Prince Harry and given to the then Prince Charles, now King Charles, in December 2019, before they left the royal family. And it detailed his plans to move his family to North America. This was the headline. We all know it. It is now very, very famous with regards to the Megxit exit of Harry and Meghan of the royal family. Now, in his book, Spare, Harry said Wootton's information, including telling detail about an offer to relinquish their titles. There was only one document on earth in which that detail was mentioned. My private and confidential letter to my father, to which a shockingly, damningly small number of people had access. We hadn't mentioned it even to our closest friends. Now here again is where Byline Time trips up. It says Byline Times can reveal how the story, so-called Megxit, was published on the same day the Sussexes were planning their own announcement. No, they weren't. They weren't at all. Because the amount of errors in that website, and at the time, it was reported that they were forced into it. They were forced to push that button on that website to publish. So here again, we have them twisting the narrative to suit whatever false truths that they want to portray. It's very clear that when they dropped that website, the things that they put on there were so unchecked. Things like the fact that they were going to work alongside the Queen. Do you really think that if they had any knowledge that this was going to happen, the royal family, they wouldn't have asked to go through that website and make sure it was okay? No, it's not a chance. Otherwise, the Sandringham Summit wouldn't have happened. It really wouldn't. And to say that the Queen wasn't blindsided is ridiculous, because she clearly was. The fact that they had to stop using their HRH titles, that they were no longer allowed to use the word royal in Sussex Royal, just goes to show you what little planning that website had into it. So the fact that this article says that the Megxit story and the day that the Sussexes were planning their own announcement were the same day was utterly ridiculous. And again, no proof really given. Seems to be throughout all of this massive so-called expose that nothing really, apart from a dodgy picture of Dan Wootton and somebody else that they proved that they were really close friends, and I'll talk about that in another video, there's no real evidence. Now, it also says that wrongly claimed that Prince Harry had blindsided his then 93-year-old grandmother, provoking a widespread public backlash, when in fact, according to the Spare, the Queen had been aware of it since January the 3rd. Well, that's not really a lot of time, is it, to actually understand that your grandson wants to move away? Now, obviously, this is just rehashing what Harry has said in Spare. So, this so-called bombshell that Byline Times says, well, the information was readily available and debunked. Now, there seems to be this particular part of the article really trying to double down that the partner of Christian Jones was paid for stories. Is that not a source? Okay, for example, before they left the royal family, I also got approached by a journalist and said to me, if you find anything out that we are not aware of in your digging, please let us know and we will pay for it. We will pay for the headline and we'll make sure that we run that headline at the same time that your video goes live. It is no surprise to me that sources get paid. Was Christian Jones aware that his partner, or it's alleged that his partner, was paid for a story? They don't say, but they imply it, which is very, very dangerous. But aren't sources paid? Isn't that the way the media works? You are paid for information, just like the puff pieces that Meghan Markle herself and her agency pay to get in the press. Why is it always so one-sided? Why is it okay for one side to do it, but not the other side? God forbid! Fundamentally, at its core, the media revolves around paid sources, because you're not going to give up your information for free, are you? That's just how the world works. They do, however, Byline Times take a dig, say that the Byline Times has learned that Jones and his partner had already been named specifically in an anonymous but highly detailed whistleblower testimony, which included an internal News UK ZC contributor accounting code purposely from an administrator within the Sun, which was deemed credible enough to warrant referral to the Metropolitan Police, and which was integral to the legal letter. But does it really matter, does it? You know, it really bothers me that Harry, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that. Well, his wife is commonly known to put puff pieces out. Now, I don't know whether you know, but there is a very well-known YouTuber called Shannon Lister. She's fantastic. She used to be the editor of Star, and she said before Meghan Markle came on the scene, the royal family was a tight ship. No sources come out. Nobody was blabbing. Soon as Meghan Markle comes along, poof, leaky ship. Why is it okay for one camp to do it, but not another camp? It's hypocritical. I propose that this letter that Harry is referring to, that he sent to his father with his desire to leave the royal family, do you really think Charles is going to sit on that and go, okay? He would have got counsel. I agree that maybe it shouldn't have been leaked, but these things happen. Why on earth do people have press secretaries? But again, Harry takes umbrance with anybody detailing his information out there, but yet he's quite willing to go out and put everybody else's information out there in books and interviews. It's just not right. Now, apparently, this payment to Christian Jones's partner was about stories that relate to the nannies, as in they've had 3 nannies in X amount of time. This one is titled Nanny Mc3, and another one which has titled Top Secret. That one I can't find. I physically can't find it online. So I think it's been scrubbed from the internet. Now, that was relating to who was going to be Archie's grandparents. Godparents, not grandparents. Godparents. Oh, it's been a long day already. A second source, apparently with close links to the royal household, told Byline Times that Christian Jones's promised to drag the hidden dealings between the palaces and the press into the public domain. Who's this source? Again, it's okay for you guys to use a source, but nobody else. The hypocrisy is so bizarre that they're picking out sources but using sources themselves. So what you're doing is complaining about one side doing it, but while you're doing it too and you're not naming your sources. Now, this all relates to an action letter, a letter for action that Harry was supposed to have sent to Dan Wootton's former employer, The Sun, in May 2020. Now, the Byline quotes a source that says no one wanted that stuff to end up in a courtroom. Harry and Meghan were expendable, but the heirs and their wives were not. Apparently, Harry wanted to get to the bottom of how his private information was getting leaked and spun into negative headlines. Harry May, your own behaviour spun the headlines, not the leaks. Funniest thing, I think, is that they suggest that the Queen had previously given her blessing for Harry and Meghan to move to South Africa, as if that would have lasted. Can you imagine Meghan in South Africa? No, that got vetoed, didn't it? And as I said in my previous video, this letter was the crux of the matter. Harry is so hell-bent on his financial security being taken away by Charles that he blames the fact that he refused to remove Christian Jones's name from this letter to action, and that is the reason why Charles revoked his funding. The Byline Times reports that the then Prince Charles knew that it was his son's only lifeline to keeping safe, was considered a very effective way of trying to bring Harry and Meghan to heel in the UK, but it didn't work. Here's another source that the Byline Times aren't actually naming, so it's okay for them to use sources, but not anybody else. I get it. This source told the Byline Times, you need to understand the competition that is constantly at play between the offices of the senior members of the royal family. Each has their own staff and their own agendas. The primary objective is to protect the institution of the monarchy. Charles and Camilla are obviously at the top of the tree. Even when the Queen was alive, William and Kate next. Anything that threatens the hierarchy or the public perception of it is a problem to be dealt with. I wonder if that source Omid Scobie. Sounds like something that would come out of his mouth, wouldn't it? There's no real evidence to even suggest that it was Christian Jones's partner. They don't really give anything. They even say this is why it was such a problem when Christian Jones was named in those legal letters. Letters by Harry, by the way, I have to insert there. Whether it was true or not that the information Jones collected in the course of his work was ending up in the Sun was not really the point. Okay, then what was the point? You're accusing a man and his partner of leaking stories. And then they harp on about how it is normal for the royal family doing deals and trades with the press and favourable coverage and trading off against one another for better coverage. Haven't we heard this all before from Harry's mouth? This is just a PR propaganda for Harry and Meghan. It is a monarchy hit piece, pure and simple. And they end it with, and so it appears that the monarchy chose to side with the press secretary over Prince Harry. That in itself screams Harry put them up to it. It's so clear. If you read it, it's all old stuff, hashed out, nothing new. But one thing is evidently clear in my honest opinion. This is come from the Sussex camp. And Byline Times is funded by people. GoFundMe, that people donate. It's a bit like Bot Sentinel. They get their money from people donating to them. And a lot of the squad have donated to this. Mark my words, this is purely a hit piece against the monarchy on behest of Harry. We've heard it all before, and they do harp on about other publications and the Sun and what they do and the stories leaking here, there and everywhere, and where did they come from? It's old news, for goodness sake. And it should come as no surprise to anybody that there's a hierarchy in the royal family. God forbid, what a shocker! A hierarchy in the royal family? No, never. Just screams jealousy that they weren't top of the tree. I'm sorry, there I said it. Apparently, a former friend of Wootton's said that Dan Wootton alliance appeared to quickly shift from one place to another. Apparently, Dan hated Prince William until around May 2019. Behind closed doors, he didn't have a good word to say for him. He was always talking about his attitude. But Dan never criticised Harry, really. He never seemed to have much interest at all. Then suddenly, in the summer of 2019, he switched. Basically, he was hating on Harry and Meghan. He had previously been obsessed with Prince William, and then he switched to the Sussex. Do you think that it couldn't be anything to do with Harry and Meghan's behaviour? Do you think that might be an indication of why he switched? No, because Harry and Meghan are saints and they've done nothing wrong, according to the Byline Times, and everybody else is wicked and evil. I really need to sign off now because my blood is boiling. As you can tell, I'm trying to be sweetness and light, but it really has got my goat because, again, oh, Harry and Meghan, oh, they're so hard done by. No, they're not. They've got to be held accountable for their actions, and they don't like that. So they keep putting out hit piece after hit piece after hit piece. Look at their actions and then look at the consequences. Maybe you'll put the jigsaw together and reason why they're not liked. So that was my second video. I will do another one, probably tomorrow or maybe the day after. I need to zen a little bit. I really, really do. I'd love to know your thoughts on this situation. Why do we keep going over old ground over and over and over again? Do you think that Harry and Meghan are behind this? Or do you think it's just, an anti-monarchy paper, the Byline Times? Will it damage the monarchy? Not one bit, because we've heard it all before, quite frankly. As always, I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.